White smoke bellowed from the chimney over the Sistine Chapel early this afternoon, signaling the papal conclave made its decision on electing a new pope. The announcement soon followed that Cardinal Robert Prevost was elected by the conclave, making this a historic day with the announcement of the first ever American pope. What might we expect from this new pope, who has chosen the name Leo XIV? Well, here to discuss this is Professor Robert George, McCormick Professor of Jurisprudence and the Director of the James Madison Program at Princeton University. He also served as Chairman of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom. Professor George, welcome back to Washington Watch. Good to see you.
It's great to see you, Tony. Thanks for inviting me back onto the show.
Well, let's talk first. I want to get your reaction to the newly announced Pope, and what do we know about him?
Well, my reaction initially was shock. I did not believe that I would, in my lifetime, see an American elected Pope. I did not think that an American would be elected Pope in my children's lifetime. But here we are. There's an American Pope. Now, as it happens, he's a dual national. He's also a national of Peru, where he has spent a third of his life in service to the church as a bishop in Peru. And in fact, he has dual citizenship. But he was born here in the United States. He speaks perfect English. He is an American. So that was astonishing. I don't know him personally, Tony. I've not met him. I don't know a lot about him. He does not have a very vivid public profile. He's worked in important offices in the Vatican Curia. That is the administrative office of the Catholic Church in the Vatican. He's had a very significant role in the appointment of bishops for the Catholic Church throughout the world. He was educated here in the United States at Villanova University. He's relatively young by papal standards, not as young as John Paul II was when he was elected at 58. But at 69, of course, he's younger than Pope Benedict, and he's younger than Pope Francis, and younger than most modern popes. So there you are. Now, his choice of name I found very interesting. This was the second most striking thing. A distant second, because the most striking thing by far was his being an American. The second most striking thing was his choice of name. He chose the name Leo. He will be Leo the 14th. And clearly he's symbolically, Tony, linking himself to the pontificate of Leo the 13th, who is widely known in Catholic circles as the first modern pope. Leo the 13th served in the final third of the 19th century and the very beginning, the first couple of years of the 20th century as pope. He, of course, had to manage the church through the upheavals of the Industrial Revolution, and especially the rise of new, profound ideologies, Marxism, nationalism, including nationalism of the sort that only a few decades later would turn into vicious fascism and Nazism. He found a way to bring the gospel to bear on social questions rather than treating the gospel simply as something that applied to our individual spiritual lives and the life of the community of believers. He forcefully condemned Marxism and indeed all forms of socialism, but he also rejected laissez-faire, social Darwinist, dog-eat-dog capitalism. So he was not a collectivist by any means, but he wasn't any kind of radical libertarian or individualist. He, again, found a way that he felt was more in conformity with the gospel. And he inaugurated the great tradition that we've come to know as the tradition of Catholic social teaching, which began with his encyclical entitled Rerum Novarum, of New Things, in 1891. Well, that's what I know, Tony.
Well, it sounds like you know quite a bit, Robbie, when it comes to his selection of names. But I want to talk about his place in history, what it could be, given where we are. I mean, internationally, I think of Pope John Paul when we were faced with communism. He worked with Margaret Thatcher. He worked with Ronald Reagan, very clearly to take down the wall in Eastern Europe. We have something similar, but it's in Islam, and that I think poses a threat internationally, especially when we look at religious freedom. But we're compromised even here at home in the United States when we look about policies pertaining to the sanctity of human life and marriage. It's a much different world culturally than it was when Pope John Paul stepped into that position.
Yes, there are great challenges that are facing all of us today, certainly facing the Christian community, certainly facing the Catholic Church. Some of those, Tony, are internal in the Catholic Church. I don't think I'm breaking any news, certainly not breaking any news to Catholics, that the administrative structure of the church is badly in need of reform. I think it doesn't go too far to say that there's chaos, both in terms of the governance of the church internally and its finances. And those governance issues are certainly not unrelated to the terrible scandals, especially the sex scandals that did so much harm to the church and the broader Christian community when they really came to light in the early 2000 aughts. So we need a pope who will be a genuine reformer, someone who knows who's who, what's what, where the bodies are buried, who can bring administrative order to the church, who can root out corruption. There is corruption. I think we have to be very clear and candid about that. There's every reason to believe it, no reason to doubt it. So we need a reformer in that respect. Number two, we face the great challenges of secular progressivism as an ideology that challenges gospel teachings. This is true for evangelical Christians. It's true for Eastern Orthodox Christians. It's true for the Catholic Christians. And here we need clarity from Christian leaders. And that's what Pope is. He's a Christian leader. So we need clarity. There's an old saying. It's become something of a cliche, but that doesn't mean it's any less true, Tony. And that saying is, clarity is charity. Telling people they're not doing anything wrong or leaving people to think they're not doing anything wrong when in fact they're doing something very bad and destructive of themselves, their families, their relationships. That's not charity. That's not kindness. You're not being kind to people when you let people go on doing things as if there's nothing wrong with them and they're actually destroying people's families and destroying people's lives. We need clarity. And in recent years, I think it's fair to say, there has been some ambiguity, at least perceived ambiguity in Catholic teaching. So we need a pope who will teach with clarity. And then the final thing, Tony, if I can just very quickly wrap up on the third thing. We also, I think, need on the international sphere to get the church's relationships with nation states in order. And this is especially important when it comes to China. The Vatican made what can only be called a very bad deal
10
with
seconds,
the Chinese
Robert.
communist regime. Yeah, and that's got to be fixed. Catholics in China are suffering. So are other Christians. So are other believers. And something's got to be done.